program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Brought to you by the National Cannabis Coalition.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
We love it.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome Tokers and Tokettes. It is Tuesday, June 26th, 2012, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world, and it's also got to be my parents' 46th anniversary. So happy anniversary to my parents for 46 years of being together through thick and thin, and believe me, there was some thin, a whole lot of thin involved in there too. So congratulations to them. Very, very happy. Mom and Dad, love you both, and happy anniversary. Joining us here in the studio for this fine show, we've got over there on camera too, Wiz Kaliko is hanging out in studio. How you doing, Kaliko?
Aloha, doing quite well. Happy anniversary to Papa and Mama Radical.
All right, and that new light is getting into your shot there. We're gonna have to fix that.
It certainly is bright.
We're gonna have to fix that on the break here. All sorts of new gear that we're trying to integrate into the show. Ganja John is off for the day. Filling in the engineer slot today is Brian the Red. How you doing, Brian?
I'm here now.
Now you're here. Brian was invaluable on this trip to San Francisco, or more accurately, Berkeley and Richmond. And thank you so much for the great work you did, man.
Hey, we all there to have a good time and just help keep things moving along, right?
It moved along quite well. Also joining us from our virtual studio in beautiful Grastoria, Oregon, is our news director, Cannabis Carrie Gallagher. How you doing, Carrie?
I just had to look out the window as you said that. And yes, it is beautiful today.
Yes. And Carrie brings us our headlines right after the first break. And what do we have in the news today?
Well, today we're going to cover that California marijuana regulation bill, from one of our friends, Tom Amiano. We'll tell you what is going on with that. Also, we're going to go to New Jersey, where some good news, bad news story on a decrim bill there. And then we're going to go outside of the country to give you some chronicle news from foreign areas. So I'll give you all that coming up on the news today.
Yeah, not the best of news from these foreign countries either. It just illustrates something that we've been talking about, how American marijuana policies have perverted justice all around the world. So, we are National Cannabis Radio, but we're also keeping an eye on what's going on all around the world. So stay tuned for the Daily Cannabis Chronicle right after this first break. Today is Electric Tuesday on our Daily Toker Tunes. Every day at 20 after, we play a brand new tune from a different genre, and on Tuesdays it's Electric Tuesday. We play electronic dance music, some other experimental forms as well. Today we go into the experimental category with one of our favorites, Symphony of Science. You can find their music at symphonyofscience.com. This one features Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's called We Are Stardust, and it's just kind of our tribute to science and reason, and also Dr. Carl Sagan, who was one of the first people who was put through one of these Symphony of Science auto tunes. And of course, he was a lifelong toker as well. So stay tuned for that at 20 after. And then at half past, we're going to do some show and tell. We've got video, we've got pictures, we've got items from our trip to San Francisco, the Bay Area, for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. So we're going to show those to you. Some footage of Del, the funky Homo sapien in concert, some footage of the winners, some interviews, some footage of the medication area, all sorts of great stuff coming over these next 2 hours here on the Russ Belville Show. So stick around and we will be right back after these messages. Make sure you're supporting our sponsors because it's through their advertising that we're able to bring this stream and this podcast to you for free. So please help us keep it that way. And you can donate if you want to help directly. You can text Russ to 420-420 and you can get connected with the National Cannabis Coalition. And if you like, you can make a donation from your cell phone to support this show. We would really appreciate it, and that'll help us bring you more coverage of all of these great events. Stay tuned. The news is next with Carrie Gallagher. We're back right after this.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com. Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show. Warning, Neil deGrasse Tyson may grab you off the street at any minute.
I know that the molecules in my body are traceable to phenomena in the cosmos. That makes me want to grab people in the street and say, have you heard this?
This is Normal Show Live. Marijuana is not going to re-legalize itself. You've got to do your part. Join the National Cannabis Coalition today at nationalcannabiscoalition.com. Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, ganja sacrament, consumer cannabis. The topic of marijuana is heating up the news, and the Russ Belville Show catches you up with today's latest headlines. Now, here's our senior news editor, Cannabis Carrie, with the Daily Cannabis Chronicle.
And today we have a bill in the state of New Jersey that would have decriminalized small amounts of marijuana. It passed in the state assembly on a 44-30 vote yesterday. Now, it is just the recent in a series of bills around the country to try and roll back the punishments that are associated with marijuana crimes. The bill in New Jersey would make possession of less than 15 grams of marijuana a civil penalty instead of a criminal one. Fines for being found in possession of marijuana under the bill would range from $150 to $500, with $50 of every fine going into a drug education program. Currently in New Jersey, possession of marijuana will get you a $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in prison, along with the suspension of your driver's license and, of course, a criminal record. The New Jersey Democrat who sponsored the bill, Reed Gascoria, said that the state spent way too much money and time enforcing the marijuana laws and that it no longer makes sense to treat pot smokers like common criminals, saying in this instance the punishment does not meet the crime. But the pushback from the Republican Sean Keane and the GOP Assemblywoman Mary Pat Angelini, who is also the head of the anti-drug group Prevention First, say that the measure is a step towards legalization and it sends the wrong message and it would make unhealthy public policy. Now, 3 of the 21 sponsors of the bill were Republicans, but the top Republican in the state, Governor Christie, is cool to the bill and most likely would never put his signature on a decriminalization law. Now, he has vowed in the past to veto any softening of marijuana crime punishments. Christie told a town hall meeting this week that lax medical marijuana programs in states like California and Colorado, along with lenient marijuana possession laws, have led to marijuana, quote, essentially being legalized. He told those attending that meeting in Reddington that he is focused on implementing a strict state medical marijuana program and that easing any marijuana laws would be contrary to that goal. Governor Christie went on to say that we cannot send any kind of tacit approval to the children, that marijuana is somehow not as bad anymore, to which the town hall attendees erupted with applause. He says that the state should not undercut the federal policy on marijuana, and Christie does acknowledge that low-level drug offenders have been warehoused in prison, and says that he supports a statewide mandatory drug court program instead for nonviolent drug offenders.
Okay, Governor Christie, statewide mandatory drug court. So suppose you sentence me to the drug court and I don't go, then what happens? Oh yeah, you put me in a cage. You warehouse me with all the rest of the criminals. See, this is why this whole drug court, kinder, gentler drug war isn't fooling anybody, because we know how this works. You sentence someone to drug court and, they have to pee in a cup, they have to come up clean, and they do. And then they're on probation for a while, might have some random tests, and they pass those just fine. And just as soon as they're completely free and clear of all the testing, they go back to smoking pot. I can't tell you how many of my friends that I've talked to, how many people that I've talked to in my work here, who you pass a bowl to them. No, man, I'm studying for a test. I got to stay clean for a little while. But will admit to every single one of them will admit to me that, oh yeah, as soon as this is over, as soon as I get through with this, yeah, I'll smoke with you, no problem. So it's not solving the problem. It's just inconveniencing a bunch of people. It's just keeping a bunch of fake urine manufacturers in business and fake dong manufacturers in business, forcing people to jump through these hoops to try to prove that they're smart enough to get away with smoking pot. Because that's really all these P tests do, is to prove whether or not you're smart enough to be able to get away with it. And millions of us are. There are 26 million of us smoking every year. There's 17 million of us smoking every month. There's 2.5 million of us smoking every day. And yet we still work, we still pay bills, we still pay rent, we still pay taxes, we still feed our kids, we're still getting by. You cannot stop us, Governor Christie. It's never going to happen. Now, we do have to watch out. This Chris Christie is a rising star in the GOP, and he's very charismatic, and he's able to really carry across with a crowd. A lot of people really like the guy. I don't quite understand why, but a lot of people really like the guy. We got to be very careful with his rhetoric and to understand what he's trying to get across to people, and chop it right down as he starts to say it. So, Governor Christie, if you are for all these drug courts, what happens to someone if they do not go to one? Right? They get locked up in a cage. So let's not fool anybody about this kinder and gentler drug war. Continue to hold their feet to the fire. And please, people of New Jersey, can you run somebody to beat Governor Christie in the next election?
California Assemblyman Tom Amiano has called off a scheduled Senate committee vote today on his medical marijuana regulation bill. Amiano says that a lack of support in the state Senate due to the recent federal scrutiny of medical marijuana producers and distributors made it obvious that he did not have enough votes and would not reach that mark ahead of the July deadline. The San Francisco Democrat said that his bill, Assembly Bill 2312, would have revamped the 16-year-old state's medical marijuana law to protect legitimate growers and sellers and patients in the wake of increased scrutiny by the federal government of state medical marijuana laws. In the past 12 months, hundreds of dispensaries in California and at least 100 different municipalities have acted to restrict medical marijuana, citing the recent federal pressure. Amiano's bill was the last chance for any sweeping regulation change of the industry this year. An earlier regulation bill died in the Senate floor in March, and a drive to qualify a medical marijuana regulation initiative failed to attract the money it would have needed to succeed. The Amiano regulation bill got by the California Assembly with a vote of 41 to 28. And that bill would have created a state bureau of medical marijuana enforcement that would be responsible for issuing licenses and providing oversight. It would have also allowed local governments to set and collect their own taxes on medical marijuana products. Critics said the bill was too vague in some areas and that it gave way too much power to the newly created panel. Law enforcement associations across the state were also against the bill because they said it was just a permission slip for medical marijuana dispensaries to operate without the current restrictions. Amiano says that he hopes to return with a reworked version of his measure when the legislature starts their new session in January of 2013.
This is partially why I had made the statement the other day, the bold statement that medical marijuana is as free as it's going to get in California. Marijuana is as legal as it's going to get, because every time they try to put forth some sort of regulation, some sort of regulatory statewide consistent structure to their medical marijuana program, it either gets attacked from the right by the Senate Republicans, attacked by the anti-medical marijuana people that say, oh, it's just basically legalizing marijuana, it's just letting them run amok, or it gets attacked on the left from the other side, from the people in the industry, people who are growers, people who are consumers, who, oh no, the state's coming down on us, they're going to have all sorts of restrictions and regulations, and gosh, we'll have to fill out paperwork and pay taxes and pay fees and registrations, and it'll be awful, it'll be the end of the world. And nobody can ever come together and come up with something that will satisfy everybody involved in this, or at least enough of the people involved with this to get it through the Assembly and the Senate and get it signed by the governor and have enough support from the people that it affects that it can go somewhere politically. It's just, the whole California situation, having come back from there. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's freedom. It's really amazing to be there and to see so many people open about their cannabis use and able to access, for the most part, at least in the Bay Area for sure, be able to access many different varieties of cannabis and to show that the sky doesn't fall when it's virtually legal. I mean, what we were just at with that High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, a big open air pot expo basically, and no problems, no major issues. Sure, I guess it was way the hell out of town, so that if any issues would have cropped up, nobody would have known about it. But still, I like that part of the whole California medical marijuana scene. On the other hand, the disorganization and the lack of consistent regulation and all of these, it's legal in one place and not legal in another, and some places can ban and some places can't ban. It makes it tough for the consumer, and especially in this instance when some of those consumers really are some legitimate patients, really are some people suffering that could use all the help they can get. They're on fixed incomes, of limited means, of limited resources, and the confusion and the chaos of all of this can just lead to, a bad taste in the mouth of politicians and people outside of the movement who might see some of the excesses of medical marijuana and attribute that to the entire industry. It's just very, very frustrating. I wish we could come up with something more consistent in California, but always remember the bottom line of this. This is the fault of the regulators. This is the fault of the city councils and the state assemblies who have abrogated their responsibility going back to 1996 to actually come up with something here. You can't turn and blame the people for taking advantage of a loose system when it's the job of the regulators to create the regulations for that system that would hopefully avoid those problems.
And a 21-year-old British man has been given a death sentence in Dubai for selling marijuana to an undercover officer. The unidentified British citizen and a 19-year-old Syrian man were found guilty of trying to sell 20 grams of marijuana, according to the local newspapers and the British embassy in Dubai. That 3/4 of an ounce of marijuana was worth about $410, according to the media. The British embassy said they can confirm that a British national was given a death sentence, and they say they remain in contact with the prisoner and they will continue to provide consular assistance with his case. The Syrian embassy has not commented on the case that involves the 19-year-old Syrian, so we do not know what his sentence was for his part in the drug crime. It has been reported by the local media that the two men were found guilty in a Dubai court for that 3/4 of an ounce. Now, if a 3/4 of an ounce of cannabis seems like an odd crime for a death sentence, the conservative United Arab Emiratis also has heavy fines for indecent behavior. Foreigners have been jailed for kissing in public, sending a racy text message back home, and in 2008, one foreigner was deported over giving the middle finger to a fellow driver. But thankfully, in the UAE, and this is a bright point in this story, it is not unusual for the Emiratis rulers to pardon convicted criminals or lighten their sentences. We do know that death sentences are handed out regularly, but executions are rare. Now, the last time they killed a prisoner over a crime was in February of 2011. A man that was convicted of child rape of a 4-year-old boy in a mosque bathroom was killed by firing squad. That was the only execution recorded in the last 4 years. Now, we hope that this young British man will be sent home and not face a firing squad over this small amount of marijuana. But as always, we will be keeping an eye on this case and reporting to you any developments.
Yeah, raping a 4-year-old child, selling 3/4 of an ounce of weed, death penalty. Yeah, either way, rape a child, sell some weed, death penalty. That's Dubai, folks. That's the United Arab Emirates. That's the way their laws are, you think we got it bad here. That's the way it's going to go there. And they are supposedly our big allies, supposedly somebody that we are supposed to be on good relations with. And yet our government will stand by silently while they execute someone for 3/4 an ounce of marijuana, $400 worth a pot. Really? It is time to start boycotting Dubai, people. I see things like these golf tournaments coming from Dubai, tennis tournaments coming from Dubai. We need to pull a Sun City. I know maybe some of you are too young for this. Ain't gonna play Sun City. Remember that back back in the day, South Africa, people divesting themselves of their stocks, anything held in South Africa, saying that apartheid would not be tolerated. It's time we start doing this to some of these countries, the Singapores, the Malaysias, the UAEs, and oh yes, the United States of America, which also has a death penalty for marijuana, come to think of it. A death penalty that Richard Lee is eligible for. A death penalty that Stephen D'Angelo is eligible for. So let's start talking to these countries, these terrible despotic regimes that will not listen to the will of their people, that restrict them, that disappear them, that kill them without any sort of judicial restraint. Yeah, let's get tough on that. Oh man. I really need a break.
It's 4:20 back in Idaho, where Russ and Carrie were born. So we have to go connect with our roots. You know what I mean? Please support these sponsors who support the Russ Belville Show.
All right. When we come back, we'll have our Electric Tuesday Symphony of Science coming up for you. And then some slideshow reviews and show and tell from the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. It's the Russ Belville Show. Stick around. We're back after this.
Talking to that reefer man.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. Or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while and share.
Cause the day was hard and your work was long and you need a break from all that's wrong. You better look at the clock cause it's 4:19. Time to reach in that pocket for your bag of green and smoke that weed.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show. Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Electric Tuesday, featuring the latest in electronic dance music and other cutting-edge genres. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, folks, we got Neil deGrasse Tyson in the inset there. Looks like we got us a badass. I don't know if you follow that internet meme, but today for our Electric Tuesday Daily Toker Tunes, we're going to turn things over to the Symphony of Science. If you haven't caught these before, these are just auto tunes of various scientific presentations, things like the NOVA program, Cosmos, etc., you know, the Richard Attenborough Nature series and so forth, where they take these scientists and they just auto-tune their voice, pitch shift their voice to some really cool music, and then you get to learn and listen at the same time. So we've been following these since the very first one came out, the one with Carl Sagan, who of course very dear to our heart is Mr. X, the longtime cannabis user featured in Dr. Lester Grinspoon's essays. So we've been going back all the way since then. The website is symphonyofscience.com, and this is the latest one out there. This one is called We Are Stardust from Symphony of Science. Check this one out. Downloads available at music.radicalruss.com.
We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe. The universe itself exists within us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us.
Every atom in your body came from a star that exploded. You are all stardust. You are all stardust. From a star that exploded.
Look up at the night sky. We are part of it. universe itself exists within us. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, called by the universe, reaching out to the universe. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, reaching out to the universe with these methods and tools of science.
Stand in the middle and enjoy everything both ways. The tininess of us, the enormity of the universe.
The atoms that make up the human body are traceable to the crucible that cooked light elements into heavy elements. These stars went unstable in their later years and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Look up at the night sky. We are part of it. The universe itself exists within us. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, called by the universe, reaching out to the universe. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, reaching out to the universe with these methods and tools of science. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, in the highest reaching out. The universe itself exists within us. Universe. We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us.
Dear Mom, when I was in college, I used to drink a lot. It was kind of crazy. But now that I'm older, I prefer to use marijuana. It's less harmful to my body, I don't get hungover, and honestly, I feel safer around marijuana users. I hope this makes sense, but if not, let's talk. I love you.
TalkItUpColorado.org. Start your conversation about marijuana, paid for by the Campaign to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol in Colorado.
Attention, National Cannabis Radio listeners. If you haven't heard the political pontifications of Lively and Mr. Libra on the Libra Lounge yet, be sure to visit here Wednesday nights at 6 Pacific or visit thelibralounge.com for archives and links to download current episodes. Be a lounger.
The Libra Lounge.
The cannabis community includes a diverse set of activists and nonprofits working to end the prohibition of marijuana. We take the time to hear the stories of reform on the Russ Belville Show's Cannabis Community Chat.
All right, welcome back, folks. We are going to be bringing you some video here from our time at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in San Francisco, or actually the Bay Area would be more appropriate. So we'll show you some of these and give you our comments as we look at it. But check this out. This is from Ganja John.
Thanks for talking to us, first of all, and we're very proud of our product. And this is Mama P's Wholesome Grinding Company, and we're here to hopefully take home another cup for our people and our kids. It's our award-winning magnetic lighter, which is waterproof, airline safe, never gets hot, and is just terrific for all-around hunting, camping, and fishing. It's melded into a beautiful Art Deco ashtray. There's your room for your spliffs.
This thing is pretty cool, actually.
Glass pipe rather
I gotta say.
Wow. So it'll hold your pipes. It'll hold your spliffs. Replace your ashtray so you don't lose it. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest, baddest American-made grinder in the industry. Four more teeth than our nearest competitor. Like any other premium grinder you'd expect. A magnetic top.
Oh, goodness.
You have the deepest and largest reservoir in the industry. Mm-hmm. It's 1/4 of an inch deeper and 1/4 of an inch wider than my nearest competitor.
Wow.
For the first time ever, you have a 60-micron titanium replaceable screen. Rip it, tear it, harm it, foul it in any way, we will replace it and fix it. It's guaranteed for life. It's machined in America. We make 20 a day in Spicewood, Texas. On the 4th stage, we have a guitar pick, so you don't get your fingers dirty. A keychain for your lighter. And there's the hand swedging of your replaceable screen.
Wow. Wow. And I can show you guys here. Well, I have one of these on my belt right now, so this is something I'm using already.
We got
lighters.
We got a little bit more for you, John. Because we make this in such few numbers. We monogram each issue. So on the bottom.
Oh my goodness.
It's proudly embossed Mama P's Wholesome Grinding Company.
That is amazing.
4-stage grinder, nothing else like it on the market.
That is absolutely awesome. We're going to be showing this to our viewers, and hopefully we'll be getting one of these for the studio because I need to roll bigger joints. So we'll be back after this, guys.
Calling it the Cut by the Bag because that works for me. And joining us here is Addison. How you doing, Addison? From Steep Hill.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Cannabis Analysis Laboratory. And everybody knows about Steep Hill, and you guys have been making sure that the folks' medicine is tested. You can tell exactly what it is that we're putting into our bodies here. Tell folks how you got started.
My business partner and I are both growers out of Northern California. So we've been running around. I've been in California since '98, and we've been running around under Prop 215, and essentially just recognized that there was no quality control in the industry. And it was the natural thing to do. There's a lot of obstacles getting it together. There's a lot of resistance, essentially. I think it had been attempted before, but they didn't really get it all together to do it or accomplish it. But yeah, it was a project that we ended up having to bring in a ton of different people to help us with. Luckily, we had the help of Harborside and a bunch of other collectives, and Debbie Goldberry and NTN with PPG, and we got it off the ground. But it was it's mainly just the funny thing was a little selfish in the beginning because we were growers and we wanted to compete with each other, and then it just grew from there. We started to do the first thing was the potency testing, and then we started to bring in mold and bacterial analysis. And then pesticide testing after that, and then we brought in standardized packaging, nitrogen sealing for growers, help them transport products a little more safely that were screened. And then now we've, in the last 2 years, we've developed a new Quantican system, which is an instant potency analysis system for collectives. So they can have a machine in their collective that's a third-party unit that allows them to analyze cannabis in 80 seconds. It's non-destructive. And it's also no chemicals at all. So we use an NIR reader that sits in the collective that hooks up to an on-screen computer and then allows them to run a sample. The NIR reads into the sample itself and then compares it back to a database that we have from over 25,000 samples we've run. And then we've developed a database also for HPLC analysis, and then that way we can run the tests. When you run a test on the machine, you get HPLC result and a GC result. So it kind of settles an argument in the industry right now about running a test. If you go to a dispensary and you run a test, to a lab, they have gas chromatography or they have liquid chromatography. And the difference between the two is gas chromatography would be as if you'd smoked a joint or burned the product that you had in your hand to get the psychoactive compounds out of it. The other is HPLC, which is just the raw form. And I use the word raw because it's like a bud sitting in your hand. Same idea as that. So we built a Quantican system where when you run a test, you get both results.
So the implication there being that the result I get from testing whole bud may not be the result I would get when I smoked that whole bud. Exactly. The combustion.
So you have to activate the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you want to. What you're doing is taking THCA, activating it, getting it to turn into delta 9 THC, which is what we use to psychoactive compounds.
Now, how accurate does this testing get to? I see collectives of advertising. This bud is 27.136% THC. I'm like, really? It wasn't 0.135, sure?
Yeah, the rule of thumb is, and it's pretty simple how it all works. If they run it on a GC or an HPLC, it's a comparative. They take 100% known compound of THC or whatever they're looking for. They create a calibration curve and then they shoot the sample against the calibration curve. And that's how it works everywhere. That's how you quantify what's in any The difference between the new QC system and that system, it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, very simple to use. You don't have to be a chemist or anyone else to run it, and it's non-destructive. It's about 1 percentage point in either direction of accuracy it's going to be off, and it's rare. It's not off very often. So
how much range is there of this product? I mean,
imagine trying to sell pick my most frosty bud or testing. So how much range when you give them a number? I know in Poland they say plus or minus 3%.
Yeah, it's it depends on the grower. It depends on who's grading the product. If it's an okay harvest, you'll normally get okay numbers. You're not going to get an okay harvest and see some phenomenal number that comes out of nowhere. If it's like one of the best growers in the world, some of the breeders, you'll see a small variation. It doesn't vary too much. We've messed around and done some stuff where we take a whole plant, run it in for analysis from the top cola to the middle of the plant to the lower part, and there's not really that big of a difference in how much it's going to vary.
Now, as far as analysis goes as well, again, we're speaking with Addison from Steep Hill Labs, and the website is steephilllab.com, so check that out. And the analysis now reads not just flower, but we're talking about different concentrates and ashes that are out there. Basically the same process, though.
Yeah, you're using the same process to do it. It's a little bit of a different weight of the sample for dilution when you're making it for the GC and HPLC because it's a concentrated course. But yeah, it's essentially the same thing. And now what's really cool is you've seen a lot of guys and some other labs out there able to do trace residue analysis or attempt to do trace residue analysis, which is beneficial to guys like myself and like the dad. They want to make sure that the product is clear of pH or any other stuff that's in it. So that's kind of the next wave of what I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of. As well as just, collectives being able to test everything they have on the bar. It seems like a lot of labs now are understanding that they have to create that affordability for the dispensaries if they want those clients. And then essentially the best part about that is it benefits the patient. We talk to some collectives that may not see the value in potency testing. They see it as a real issue because they say, well, I've got this kush that I've had here forever, and then when I test it, it's 9%.
Yeah.
And it takes them a time to realize that a 9% is still great. Sure. But the real value to the patient is when you've got that 9% sitting there, but then you've got a guy that made hash that he may have sold to the collective for $10 a gram that comes in at $20, and there's 52% THC in it.
Yeah.
And then when you educate patients on how to convert that percentage into milligrams, 17% THC would be 170 milligrams. 56% THC would be 560 milligrams. So if you're making
10 milligrams per percent.
Exactly. So if you're making a purchase for $20 and you can buy a gram of cannabis with 170 milligrams or a gram of hash for 560, you start to go, oh, what is that? I can actually spread my dollar out. It's a huge value to the patient because per penny, he knows what he's getting. And I think the biggest fear is when people look at that, they go, well, I don't want anyone to know that I'm monetizing per milligram of cannabis because then it looks like we're doing something wrong, but it's natural to feel that way. The government wants you to feel like what you're doing is wrong. You got to normalize it and push it through.
Right.
And make it right.
Just like if I was going to go buy orange juice or going to go buy tomato paste or going to go buy anything else, I want to know how much is in it, what's the active...
Alcohol,
for sure.
I'm rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, denatured and natured,
I used to joke when we first started the lab that people in California know more about the percentage of fat in their milk than they do about the percentage of THC in their cannabis.
Yeah, well, but we're staying in Berkeley, so we're getting a whole dose of... Can't even smoke a cigarette outside in Berkeley.
You can't think bad thoughts about it. They come and get you for that.
So Addison, the other thing I think about too, you guys are involved with the Medical Cannabis Cup, and they are part, just as the testing has been part of the cup now for how long have you been in it?
I think since the first cup in San Francisco.
Yeah, so 3 years now. But what we find is that, people have this idea that, this bud was 24% THC, this bud was 28% THC. And Danny told me that it's not always the most potent buds that win. What's going on?
There's a lot in there. I think what it comes down to from what I've seen so far and been educated upon is there's a lot more in there than just THC. There's terpenes, there's other stuff that make up the flavor, that make up the taste. And, as aromatherapy works on all of us, it works on you the same way. The terpenes will prime the CB receptors. You get a much different experience off of a 9% than somebody who may not be as primed for that type of strain. So it depends. And then another thing too is the reason why we created on the on our new QC system is the HPLC result and the GC result. The HPLC result tends to be about 9 or 10 percentage points higher sometimes. And that's the one that guys go after for advertising because it draws you in a little bit.
I'll come back.
When you see those 27s, 26s, 28s, anything above 22 or 23%, you're probably looking at a THCA number.
Yeah.
And then what we're trying to do is make sure that we educate as many people to look at what those letters are before you see the number. If it says THCA, then it's in the acidic form. It's not. It's going to be, you got to knock off about 10 points before you get to that number, like the Spicoli number that we all know, the THC THC. So it's just educating people to understand that it's not. When you see a 27, we should all start understanding that that's probably THC.
It's good to get this education out there, because that's, one of the downsides of prohibition is that being in an unregulated market and only having the guy, I gotta go see the guy, right?
He'll be here soon.
I always joke that, I lived in Idaho and my choice of strains were got some and don't. Right?
Yeah.
And so when you come from that, and then you come to here where it's like, wow, not only do you have many different locations to shop from, but many different strains to choose from, and tested.
And if you're high when you're choosing, it takes even longer.
It takes even longer. So one last bit of testing that I would like to see, and I don't know who's doing this or if it's being done. The guy will say, hey man, this is is there genetics, DNA testing coming into?
There is. There's these great guys that we've been talking with for a couple of years that they're also talking with DNA genetics. They're called medicinal genomics, and they went and mapped the LA Confidential strain.
By the way, happy 420 to our watchers in the East Coast.
Happy 420. It's the other 710. But yeah, these guys out of Amsterdam, they're in Amsterdam now. They're called medicinal genomics. They work with DNA, and the first strain that they mapped was LA Confidential. And then when you start to get into that, it's really interesting. But they're going to be doing a lot more of it, it sounds like. And eventually, I think we will get to the point where, you need to see a lot more of. Now through the years we've collected a bunch of data. Our lab, other labs, dispensaries, people. There's some individual growers who have tested every crop since 2009 to this point, and those guys are collecting data. We're collecting data. Now the next level of this is going to be able to take that data and make it so that the consumer, the patient, anywhere in the country, even a kid in Holland, can get online, look at that data, and see what's going on. I think the more power we're going to get as a movement is as we get that data out there. We all know that it's harmless. We all know no one's ever died from it. We all know these things. Now we can start to look at the numbers, and then maybe have an effect on England, where they're saying that there's skunk weed that's 27% THC. It's like, whenever I hear that, I'm like, I want some of that.
Yeah, where do we find that? They never seem to complain about the Marinol that's 100% THC.
Yeah. And then where's the skunk wax? That's what I'm talking about. Because if that's 100%, this has got to be 200%.
Yeah, man, it's skunk wax 119%, man.
Nice. It's a big piece of wax. That's nice.
Well, Addison from Steep Hill Lab, steephilllab.com. Make sure you know what you're getting.
Check it out.
Make sure that it's tested, and get yourself educated on the alphabet soup of cannabinoids.
Sure. And the other last thing, our company is in California, but because of the new Quantican system, we've actually launched worldwide. Yeah. So now we can put these systems into. We're talking about putting them into Spain. We're talking about putting them into Amsterdam, Canada, and then all over the U.S. So if you're in a medical state and you have a collective, we have a great system working there. You can contact us up through our website, and we'll be able to talk with you about how to get a system there. Maybe you're in a state where you see some collectives, people are there, there's no testing, and you want to bring the testing. You can work with us to bring that testing there with the Quantican system. So
that's what we want to see, man. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Russ. Appreciate it, guys.
National Cannabis Radio coverage of the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. We'll go back to some video from yesterday, and I know Ben's last will take some video as well. So
not bad, useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. What happened? Yo, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine. Wear that in a bag. I'm useless now, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. Yo, right about now, they let me out of my cage. Don't worry about how old I am, no matter the age. Yeah, he couldn't be there, but you should be aware. Yo, he doing repairs, and he underneath there. It's tangible. Whatever you want to do, he will command it to you. Don't believe me, fool. Then he make it all manageable. Sit and dudes, listen fools, with some pushing tools. Which do you choose? Listen through, that's up for y'all to choose. I won't get in your mind and try to decide. We're taking you on a magic carpet ride, and we swooping and whooping. All of the people wanna see if it's true. Just hop on and you can be it too. If you want to, don't let the bad spirits haunt you. Coming to the front, cause they might try to unfold you. This is just picture with the shit is so ridiculous. When we in the thick of it, so come on, get quicker. What happened? Yo, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine. Yo, in a bag, I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. What happened? Yo, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine. In a bag, I'm useless, but not for long. The future
is right now. Let me tell you, this is the only future now is right now. So let's get with it. Right here in the things that I've had, I'm about to give you some data about way back in the 80s when I first was going crazy for the word. Like, I used to do it, but my people in the class, they thought I was absurd. But hey, they used to tell me in my ear, you wasted your time. Get out of line or you ain't gonna make your dime. You're failing. I said, no, I'm not. I'm doing this, man. I don't do this shit cause it's hot. Now you just listen, man. I'm coming out with my shit. Instead you not, man. You lying, you should just quit. And I my shit, bitch. There was a chance I played, but I did it though. And now they looking at me like, man, you did it, bro. But you could do it too. Just be you and stick to it. Stick to the glue. Yo, what happened? I'm feeling glad I got sunshine. Man, I get up back. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. What happened? Yo, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine. Get up back. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on.
Of course, Del the Funky Homo Sapien performing at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup 2012 in Richmond, California. It was such a great venue. We're going to talk a little bit more about it when we come back. We'll be sitting here with Wiz Khalico and Brian the Red, plus Cannabis Carry in the virtual studio with some reminiscing about this last weekend. It was a really good time. Plus, we have a few products to show off, give you a look at some of the cool stuff we came back with. And we'll take your calls an hour or two at 971-533-7111. It's the Russ Belville Show. Stick around.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business. You know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers, because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Brought to you by the National Cannabis Coalition.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business. You know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business. You know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
Almost busted in Laredo, but for reasons that I'd rather not disclose.
I smoke pot, and I like it a lot. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer to use than alcohol. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting responsible marijuana smokers in America. And to learn what you can do to help, please contact NORML at www.norml.org or call toll-free at 888-67-NORMAL.
The show was long and we was just sitting there, and we'd come to play and not just for the ride.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious.
And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
All right, welcome back, and we're just bringing everyone in on this one because it's not so much a rant as show and tell time. Some of the fun stuff that we came upon during the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in San Francisco, we just wanted to show off to you. We've got Brian the Red hanging out there on the engineer deck. How you doing, Brian?
Live here, man.
Live and direct. We got Wiz Kaliko over on the co-host spot.
Aloha. Sorry, doing well over here.
So we're going to start with Kaliko because you got something near you, that external spray stuff.
Yeah,
that's something we can show and tell.
It's external muscle rub topical spray, and basically, has alcohol as well as cannabis and a few other things in it that allows you to be able to spray it on your body wherever you're hurt and then rub it in. And it's actually used by some MMA fighters that you had got a chance to interview at the High Times Cup this past weekend.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to check them out, it's externalrub.com. External with just X, no E in it. Externalrub.com. But everybody who's used it from our crew as well as my roommates who suffer from some pain have said that it helps almost instantly. So I've heard a lot of good things about External Rub, and we've gotten emails from them who are thanking us for plugging them this weekend, and I'm sure we'll continue to here on the show because it is an amazing product.
Good stuff. And for me, highlighting the non-smoked use of cannabis, this topical use of cannabis stuff is something that I think is really going to be helpful as we try to get more people to support legalization, especially seniors, when they don't like the look of the smoking and all that kind of stuff. We can show them, hey, this could help your arthritis, your sore joints or whatever, your knee. Boy, that could be something that's really going to help them out. I'll show mine and then I will get Brian to show that one. What I've got here, and we have a number of these, are these great little tins from Rodawg, RODAWG, Rodawg. And what comes in these tins, and the tins are kind of scalloped here, to hold pre-rolled cones. Right, so you get these. This is just you can pull one out here, and it's already got the little filter thing, not filter, crutch, I guess, on the bottom of it there. For those of you who like that sort of thing, and then it comes a little tamper. Now I note the little tamper is a straw-like device as well. I don't know what you might use that for.
I think it's really just there to hold the shape of the cone.
Probably just holds the shape of the cone. I'm sure someone will find something else to use it for.
Pretty inventive.
But you just pack your herbal smoking material right there into the cone and you're good to go, because if you're like me, you can't roll a damn cone to save your life. So
and I believe it was Josh from Rodawg who had an interview with you the other day, and he was talking about the next generation Rodawg pre-rolled cones that they have coming out with new cases. Those are more of like a tin case, similar to, I guess, what Altoids or something like that.
Yeah.
But the other ones seem a little more slick and plastic, and are almost seem like the size of like a handheld pocket size calculator.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it looks a little less like a tin that would hold pre-rolled joints and something a little more like, I don't know, like a pocket calculator that holds.
Yeah. So we got we have this large we have the large white size tin from Rodawg, and we got the small black size tin. It's really easy open too, and then this will hold 3. And then I'll switch things over here to Brian. And Brian, I know you were talking about with these tins how you got these little plastic. Maybe I've still got one here in my pocket. Yeah, these little plastic jobbers. And is that yours?
Those are...
that fit pretty good in there. So
they do fit pretty good in these. These are some casing from it's actually a smell-proof case from a different style of pre-rolled joint that I also saw down there at the event. Also, some people in town here, some friends of mine down at Vitzall Gardens, they can get you these lovely major sized joints.
Now,
cones.
One of the big things going on there too are the medicated edibles, and you've got kind of a smorgasbord.
Well, I went around and I was taking a lot of pictures, and I was chatting with several of the vendors, because that's kind of what I like to do. Telling them about National Cannabis Radio, and getting some feedback, telling them, hey, we'd love to get some opinions, some, information, whatever you guys can throw us. And this one guy just kind of threw a box at me, and we got it home last night. We got home into town about, 8 o'clock, 8:30. And we were unpacking, and we said, oh, look, there's that box. Let's see what's inside there. So it was packed full. Let's see if we can get a good shot here.
Wow.
All these lovely little goodies, which are medicated treats.
So let's show here. Pass me one of them, and I'll show them on my cam. You show one on your cam there. There, you did. Toss me that there. Yeah, there's a good one. All right. Whoa, I might have to eat this
gnarly one there.
All right, I'll start, and then you find one that's cool, and I'll show this one off. This is OG Bar from Canna Catering. Dried cannabis weight, 1.27 grams, 57 milligrams THC. And this is what all these manufacturers were talking to us about, is measuring everything in the milligrams of THC that are available. So this is kind of the direction that the edibles are going to. This one says 2 to 3 doses. Keep out of reach of children in compliance with the Prop 215 SB 420, medical use only. The ingredients: Rice Krispies, caramel, unsalted medicated cannabis butter, marshmallow, and chocolate. This is an OG bar, and yeah, there you go. What do you got over there, Brian, as far as another
well,
one?
we got a couple different things. They also included this lovely information packet with, some info about the different. So he says certifications. The 60 milligram products and the 120 milligram products carry certification from CW Analytical for all flour, butter, and micro testing for foodborne pathogens. These products are brownies, chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, and sugar cookies. And I'll just kind of show off. There's the 2 different styles. So here we have the 60 milligram right there.
There we go.
A lovely little cookie and a kind of hermetically sealed pouch, and it's got an expiration date there, so I'd like to use it by that time. And then we've also got this secondary one, which it's good that they changed the packaging up a little bit to show that it's a stronger cookie. So this one is the 120 milligram, also chocolate chip cookie. So these should be fun to test later. We'll get some good responses for the guys down there at the Bud Barber, who was the guys who supplied the butter for those medibles.
Oh yeah, so there's plenty more stuff in that box, different cookies and Rice Krispie treats and all sorts of things there. But now Wiz Khalico's got one of the coolest things that we managed to get. We don't have all of them in here, but Wiz, you tell them about what you got there.
Well, this is a brand new skateboard deck from Ganja Skateboards. There you can see the Ganja Skateboards Hawaii, and the back, the art side of the deck here shows White Widow. They have a bunch of different decks that basically are all done with strain names. This one's White Widow, obviously, with the spider on it. Ganja John managed to get himself a longboard with a Granddaddy Perp. That was pretty awesome.
I've got the Perp deck.
Russ has got the small version of the Perp deck. Brian the Red got a Blue Dream one, I believe. So there's a lot of cool different marijuana strains that Ganja Skateboards have gone out and done artistic interpretations on the deck of their board. So it's awesome. We had a great time with John from Ganja Skateboards, and we did a little interview with him, I believe, as well this weekend. And I got us also a Ganja Skateboards t-shirt. I know there's another one hanging around, but that was one of the awesome products that we got to play around with, literally riding the longboard around the park there. So I had a great time, and big ups to Ganja Skateboards.
And this is a big thing for Brian. Brian, lives on a skateboard.
Oh, well, I use it to get around town. It's funny when I get across town and I see somebody and they're like, how the hell did you get over here before I did? And they're in a car. So,
yeah, exactly.
But, I've been riding for a long time. My stick's pretty beat up, but these guys were very generous, and big props to Ganja Skateboards. The artwork is phenomenal. The decks look really solid, so I can't wait to get out.
I just want to make sure that everybody just goes to ganjaskateboards.com if they want to check out all of the different designs that they have. So.
All right. Well, we got to wrap things up here for this first hour. Thanks for joining us here in studio. We're glad to be back here at Rolla J. It was a lot of fun being at the Berkeley Bungalow, and we're going to talk more about it in hour 2 for our Toker Talk Radio at 971-533-7111. Got more video, got some photos to show off, so it should be a good time. And again, your calls at 971-533-7111. For Wiz Khalico and for Brian the Red and for Cannabis Carry, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down.